I am living in a new country. I'm not quite 10 years old yet. It's called Slovakia. It has a new government. And it is the summer of 1939, and I do what I always did before in the summertime. In the morning, I would meet my friends in the park, play soccer. In the afternoon, go to the beach. But it is one day, I get to the gate of the park, and there's a sign. Jews and dogs are forbidden to enter. In the afternoon, I go to the beach. No Jews allowed. My life has changed. I no longer have the rights that I had before. By the time September, October comes along, I can no longer go out anytime I want, like any other Jew. I'm restricted from going out of the house, on the street, once it gets dark. I have to wear a yellow star during the day. One day, I am going to school. And my father says, you can't wear it. It's winter time. It's cold, by the way. It's like in Colorado. Not as much snow. And he says, you can't wear that jacket anymore. I said, why? It's my jacket. It's a fur-lined sheepskin coat. I said, why not? He says, well, because today, after you come home from school, we have to take the jacket and deliver it to the police department. Because it's considered to be a luxury by the government of Slovakia, and no Jew is allowed to have luxuries. In the middle of the night, in the summer of 1942, there's a knock on every single Jewish home in my town. Given 10 minutes to pack a bag, and all the Jews are gathered into the synagogue, locked up there. 36 hours later, the doors are open and the Jews are marched to the train station. Cattle cars waiting, and they disappear. I don't. My family is spared. In fact, 10% of the Jews are left. Why? Because they're very important, still very important to the economy of the town. Remember, my father was still running Albert's business. A few months go by, and one day my grandfather is arrested, and my grandmother. We managed to get him out, but we know we're in trouble. And so we must disappear. So we disappear. We cross the border into Hungary. Hungary, of course, was also part of the Nazi Empire. But their idea what to do with the Jews was a bit different. They say, why should we kill the Jews? We're fighting a war. Why don't we use them? Attach them to the army. Let them do all the work. It's a slave labor force. And not only that, let them walk and march before the tanks and find the mines. So the tanks don't get blown up. Much better use. And so Hungary, the Jews are at home. The old people, the women and children are at home. The men are in the slave labor force. The spring of 1944, in 53 days, 453,000 Jews are taken from their home to Auschwitz. 90% murdered upon arrival. That's how I got to Auschwitz. My parents were not in the same village. My father and mother were off to Budapest because my father needed a job. So he wasn't there. So I arrived in Auschwitz. Grandparents. I'm assigned to work. First, I'm tattooed. I'm no longer a person with a name. I'm a number tattooed on my arm to understand fully that I'm not a person. I'm chattel. I'm the property of the German government. I get assigned to work with horses plowing the fields. What did I know at age 14? Living in the city. How you hitch a horse to a plow. And I learned quickly, because if you don't learn, you don't last very long. The Russian army is coming closer. The American army is already in Germany. It's January of 1945. One morning, we're marching. We think to work, but no. On a death march. You march or you die. Thousands of people of them are shot because they slow down. I make it. My brother makes it. I made it because my brother was helping me. I would tell him I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm cold. He says, the trouble with you, Irv, is that you think too much about physical things. Wrong. What you should do is say a psalm. Become spiritual. It'll carry you. And you know what? It did. So we arrived in a new place called Buchenwald. A concentration camp, not a death camp. Less food. The war is going on. It's February. It's March of 1944, and one day my brother is taken away. Gone. Never saw him again. I'm trying to survive. Bombing is taking place not too far, about 7 kilometers away. A town famous in a way, Weimar. You've heard of the Weimar Republic? One day, beginning of April, they're marching people out again on a death march. I keep hiding, day after day. On the 10th of April, I'm hiding. A guard comes along with a dog and finds me, marches me out to the gate. I'm standing in front of the gate of Buchenwald, knowing full well I'm not going to make it. Because I'm down to about 80 pounds at this point. I needed a miracle, and my friends, as I'm standing there, suddenly the siren goes off. American airplanes are overhead, and they're bombing the cities around Buchenwald, loitering above Buchenwald. And of course, when an air raid takes place, no self-respecting Nazi wants to be seen. And therefore they locked the gates, they put 5,000 volts into the fence, and wait for the air raid to end. The air raid lasted all day long, my friends, and I survived another day. By next morning, things are not moving as fast. By 11 o'clock, there are no guards, inside or outside. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 American soldiers walk into our barracks. My friends, to me, the Messiah just arrived. If you don't know what he looks like, I will tell you. In the first place, there are 2 of them. One was black and one was white. I survive. I'm alone, the war is over. What do I do? I decide the only reasonable thing to do is go back to that village and see if anyone in my family is alive. Because my parents were in Budapest when I was taken away. I get to the village, it takes many days. First person I see, a farmer. I say, did anybody from the Roth family come back? He says, yeah. I say, where? I run over, I open up the door, and there's my mother. And being very nonchalant, I say, hi, Mom. She fainted. My parents survived. My parents survived because somebody cared. Somebody was willing to help. There's a Hebrew expression for people like that called Chasidei Imot HaOlam, the righteous of the world. And for all those righteous in the world, at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, there's a tree with their name on it, to be there forever. Where should the Jews go? America is still closed. Great Britain is in charge of Palestine, limiting the number of Jews to a maximum of 15,000 a year, starting in 1939. And it continues that way. They're in displaced persons camps. No country wants it. Finally, after many very fascinating, interesting, horse trading, 1947 November, the UN says that this thing that was named by the Romans, Palestine, half of it will be given to the Jews, and the other half to the Arabs living in this place called Palestine. Finally, after 2,000 years, redemption has come. And on May 14th of 1948, the Jewish people, for the first time in 2,000 years, declare a state. A Jewish state. The Jews have a home, out of which they were thrown out 2,000 years earlier. When I hear the word never again, it's not a slogan. Amen. Never again, because things are different today than they were in 1938. They're different because, one, Israel has an army, navy, and air force. Across the sea, in America, there are 2.4 million Christians who joined CUFI to support Israel. This did not take place in 1938. It's taking place today. And I think between the Israeli Defense Forces, CUFI, and God's help, the Jewish people shall continue to exist. Thank you very much.